Hello and welcome. Today we're checking out a new 1 to 8 from Vortex.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, Vortex took their Strike Eagle lineup in the 424 and they tweaked it and came out with the 525. They improved the glass, the magnification, and the turrets, and they first focalized it. Now they've given that same treatment to a new 1 to 8. So it's got better glass, nicer turrets, that sort of thing. I have the second focal plane Strike Eagle 1 to 8 right here, and we're going to be using it to compare to the new 1 to 8. So for the sake of the rest of this conversation, I'm going to call this the old one. Now they're going to keep making this. This is not going to be out of production. So you can still get the second focal plane 1 to 8, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to call it the old one. So the new one, sitting on my Mark 18 here, is a little bit bigger. If we compare it to the old one here, it's just a little bit longer. The turrets are a little bit bigger on the new one, and the ocular lens is a little bit wider as well. You still get the same 30mm tube though. Now the turrets on the new scope are going to click in 1/4 minute, and it is a nicer turret to click than the old one, but I mean, to be honest, the quality of the turrets on a scope like this to me don't matter that much, because once you get it zeroed, you're never touching them anyway. One surprising feature, I'll say, about the new one is that the reticle lighting has night vision settings. So if you do want to position a PVS 14 or something behind it, or if you're wearing it on your head and you want to look through your optic, that's a little tricky, but it is kind of nice to see that they put night vision compatibility on this thing. It's not something that I would have expected for a scope at this level, but hey, the way I see it, if you have a scope like this and you have the opportunity to play with some night vision, all the best. Now, speaking of the illumination, it is daylight visible and it is a little bit brighter than the old 1 to 8. Now, there is something that I do want to touch on, and I see this with a lot of different scopes, be it something from Vortex or even Nightforce, Schmidt, Bender, some of the really high-end scopes. When you turn on the illumination to a fairly bright setting, not all of the numbers that are on the reticle are going to illuminate fully, because it's really hard to control the way that the numbers capture the light that's being projected onto them. So it may or may not be perfect in broad daylight especially, but that's something that is consistent throughout many different types of scopes. Now the image itself is quite good. The image itself is nice and big, the image is nice and flat, there's not much of a curve to it, and the field of view, the eye box, it's all very, very good. It's definitely an improvement over the older second focal plane 1 to 8, just so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. One reason for this is if we compare the ocular lenses on the newer 1 to 8 on your left versus the older 1 to 8 on your right. The larger ocular lens lets them get a bigger image and a bigger field of view. So when you're pulling up the rifle to look through it, it just hits really nice. It's right up, you don't need to fish for it, and you get a very nice image there. One more thing as well, the eye relief is about 1/2 inch longer on the first focal plane here, so 3.9 inches. Now, due to the extra size, it is a little bit heavier than the old 1 to 8 at 23.9 ounces, and it has a fixed parallax set at 125 yards. Now, the reticle is pretty similar to the old one, but this being a Vortex, they tweaked it just a tiny bit and gave it a new name. So now it's called the EBR-8. It's a ballistic reticle set up for 223, 5.56. It's a blend of the flight path between a 55 and a 62 grain bullet, and it's ideal if you zero your rifle at 50 or 200 yards. Now, the velocity that they made this reticle for is 3,050 feet per second. So that's mainly going to be coming out of your 16-inch barrels or thereabout. If you're running something shorter, like my Mark 18 here. It's still going to be very, very close, but you might need to tweak exactly where you have it zeroed. Just if you have something like this, just give me a call. I can talk you through those details. It's a bit too long to do it on this video. The center dot is 0.75 MOA thick, and the lines on it are 0.45. Now, the first question that a lot of you might have or concern is that a first focal plane reticle at low power is difficult to see because as you zoom out, the reticle shrinks. Now, I'm here to say it's really not going to be an issue for you because I've been shooting this for a few weeks now, and even at 1 power, you still have a nice line set up with the reticle. They have those parts on the left, right, and bottom that really help your eye converge to the center. And even with the illumination off, that horseshoe shape, that segmented circle, is still very easy to spot. And you have to keep in mind that when you're shooting something at 1 power like this, it's going to be at very, very close range. So you don't need to be mega precise with it. So if you are making a shot at a further distance, you'll be zoomed in anyway so you can see the reticle better. At the bottom part of the reticle, we have some dots to the left and right of center. Those just represent a 5 and 10 mile an hour full value crosswind. And up top is a little ranging device. It is made so you put a 40-inch target on that horizontal line, and then whatever point it goes to on the top, that's your yardage. So it also has something for a width. So if you have an 18-inch wide target, you just put the markers on it there, and whichever yardage that target covers those lines with, there's your range there as well. Okay, so as far as mounting, I presume a lot of these are going to go on an AR-15 style rifle. So for those, you will want to get a cantilever scope mount with a height of at least 1.4 inches, and that's going to be pretty much all cantilever scope mounts anyway. Ideally, I've been on the 1.93 inch tall train. That one, we have mounts from Scalarworks and ADM and a few others. A mount that high I find really, really nice. But the reason you want to do a cantilever scope mount is because to mount this properly, a lot of the times for scopes, you'll have the eyepiece right over the charging handle, or give or take half an inch or so. But to do that, the scope needs to be positioned forward like this, and you don't want to mount your scope to your handguard as if you would have to right here. Even though this is a Picatinny rail and this is a Denier Defense wrist rail, it's very sturdy. They have a tiny bit of flex that you don't want to deliver to the optic. So the solution for that is cantilever, which means the mount is connected to the receiver rail here, and then it just hangs that front part of the ring out over the handguard. That's all that means, but for an AR, in pretty much all situations, it is going to be ideal. And for the record, this is Vortex's CM-202 scope mount. One of the things in the box you'll have are some flip covers. Now these are pretty decent, but I do advise you upgrade to the Defender series. They're not that much more expensive, but they are a nicer flip cap. We'll have them listed below, but you'll be looking for the O24 and the E-10 for that. You also get this throw lever and a tool to install it like this. This also is a tool for turrets on some other Vortex scopes, so definitely keep this little guy around. Lastly, you do get the cutest of all sunshades here and a little lens cloth. Also, this will come with our red one-day shipping. Now, red is our free shipping upgrade. So for an optic like this, it would normally go ground, but with our red program, it gets a free upgrade to 1 day. If you'd like some more information on our red shipping, please check out our website. We do have an informational on the items that qualify. So that'll wrap up the new Vortex Strike Eagle 1-8 first focal plane. I think it brings a lot to the table for a $600 scope, and definitely is worth a look. Also, if you are law enforcement or military, please reach out to us. We do the Vortex VIP pricing program as well. Because it's Vortex, it'll come with their well-known warranty. So should anything happen to it, you are very covered. Also, I do want to hear from you guys in the comments. What sort of platform would this be mostly optimized for? I mean, of course, it's going to be mainly for an AR, but do you think it's a bit silly on something like my Mark 18 here? Would it be more at home on a 16, 18, or 20-inch rifle? You know, first, second focal plane, what do you guys think? If you did enjoy this video, please give us a like and subscribe, and also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you next time.